Hello there, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to another episode of the My English Matters podcast. I'm Amnah, one of the creators of My English Matters. Now, today's topic is about speaking too fast. And I'm going to share with you potential reasons that you may be speaking too fast and how to overcome this problem of speaking too fast. Now, we got the idea for this topic from one of the coaching calls that we did with our students, our Communicate with Confidence students. If you're not yet a student of Communicate with Confidence, come and join us. We will be opening registration again in July, inshallah. So make sure you're on our email list and we'll let you know when we open registration again. Go to myenglishmatters.com to subscribe to our email list. Now, in that coaching call, one of the questions that our students asked us was, what can she do to slow down? Because people say that she talks too fast. And before I get into the tips, I want to ask you, do you think you talk too fast? And do you know why? I think it's really important to know why you may be speaking too fast, because once you know the reason that you speak too fast, then you can find solutions on how to overcome it based on the reasons. Okay, so I'm going to share with you 5 potential causes of speaking too fast. And maybe what you can do is consider whether these are reasons that you speak too fast. So the first one is nervousness and anxiety. So this is quite obvious. A lot of people, when they have to speak English, especially if it's the second language, they will feel nervous and they have some anxiety over speaking. Now, maybe you have a fear of making mistakes. Maybe you have a fear of being judged. And there's also that added pressure of speaking in your second language. So English could be your second language, or it could even be your third language. So what I want you to remember, if you feel nervous because you fear making mistakes or you fear being judged, you got to know that part of learning is making mistakes. And the more that you make mistakes, the faster it will be for you to learn from those mistakes and become a better speaker. So one way to overcome nervousness is to be practicing and learning and implementing, right? You can't just practice in your head. You need to go out there. You need to be implementing by talking to people as much as you can in English. You could practice at home. You could be practicing with your friends or with your colleagues. That's how you become better at speaking, so that you lose that nervousness. And another part that I want to talk about is nervousness is just a lack of confidence, right? And so when you keep on practicing, you become better, you become more competent. And the more competent that you are, the more confident you'll become. So I'm not saying that you're going to be, you're not going to feel nervous at all. I get nervous myself when I have to do these kinds of videos. I get the nerves as well. And that's normal. Being nervous is actually a good thing. It shows that you care. It shows that you want to do well, and it also pushes you to do the research and prepare yourself to do the best that you can. However, it can be something that's not beneficial to you when the nerves get to a point where you can't do anything, where you just prefer to keep quiet because of that nervousness. So the nerves are not going to go away, but having the tools to help you manage those nerves are important. So one of that is through practicing and learning and implementing. And another thing that you can do is also to visualize. So before you have to, say, present something, visualize yourself going through that presentation, practicing, and also thinking about what would you do if something happened and you made a mistake, right? How would you handle that situation? So visualizing yourself doing well and also doing not so well, so that you'll know how to recover quickly. And so when you feel those nerves, you can tell yourself, I'm prepared, I'm prepared for anything that happens, whether it's good or bad, and I'll do my best. Okay, so that is the number one tip for overcoming nervousness and anxiety. Now, the second reason that I want to talk about is trying to keep up with rapid thoughts. So, are you the type of person who has a lot of things in your head and you tend to speak fast because there's so many things that are going in your head and you want to try to catch up with those thoughts? So you speak really fast. So if this is you, right, your brain is processing information really quickly and your mouth, or you're trying to catch up with your thoughts. So if this is you, what we recommend, especially in our course, we CWC, Communicate with Confidence, we teach speaking frameworks. And one of the frameworks that is quite popular is the PREP framework that we talk about, which is point, reason, example, and point. So when you are thinking, when you have a lot of things in your brain, in your head, that you're unable to focus, having that framework will help you to stay focused on what it is that you want to say, rather than letting your thoughts go loose and trying to catch up with your thoughts, with your words. So number one, remember what your point is, P. And then R is the reason to back up your point. And E is to provide an example or a further explanation to your point. And then the last one is point again. So PREP, point, reason, example, and back to your point. So even if you have a lot of things going on inside your head, when you have that framework, when you have determined, okay, I want to stick to this framework, you're kind of disciplining yourself to stay on point and not let your thoughts take you away. All right. So that's the tip for trying to keep up with rapid thoughts so that you don't speak too fast. Number 3 is a desire to convey everything. So one of the reasons that you speak too fast could be that you have a lot of things in your head that you want to express. For example, maybe you are an expert at a particular topic or a particular field of work or study, and you want to share everything with everyone. So for example, somebody asks you a question and you tend to explain everything that you know to that person, even though it's not really important to that person, right? So what you need to remember is to focus on what's important. Say you only have 5 minutes to answer a question. And then you think that you need to explain every single thing. So that will make you want to speak really fast. So what you can do is just focus on what it is that that person needs to know based on the question that they ask. And I've talked about this many times, is that your role as an expert in your field or in your study or in whatever thing that you do at work or at home or at school, your role is to know more than what you actually tell people. So what I mean is that, for example, when I was teaching a class, right? I taught a class on writing, and I have a lot of knowledge about writing based on research, based on experience, and I consider myself to be an expert, at writing. And so we had students sign up for this course, and there was a lot for me to teach them, right? I had so much information that I wanted to share. And it got to the point where it was overwhelming. And I thought, I can't teach everything in just these 5 classes, and each class is about 2 hours. And then it dawned on me that it's my role as a teacher to know a lot of things, but be able to synthesize for my students so that I only give them what they need to know at that point of time to get them to where they want to go. All right. So that's what you need to remember. If you have a short amount of time to present or to answer a question, only share what that your listeners need to know based on your extensive knowledge of that topic. All right? So, my tip there is to, if you are the type of person who wants to convey everything in a short amount of time, which will result in you speaking very fast, focus on what's important, focus on what your listeners need to know based on your experience on that topic. Okay, let's go to number 4. So another reason you may speak too fast is because you're mimicking native speakers or you're misunderstanding fluency. So what mimicking means is you try to imitate or you try to copy native English speakers, or you might even think that if you speak fast, you sound fluent. Okay? So I want to change your mindset around that and know that native speakers may speak fast. However, they use, well, the efficient speakers, they use appropriate pacing and pauses. So that I know people who are native speakers, but they're not very effective speakers. And the difference between an effective speaker and a non-effective speaker, whether you are native or not, is knowing when to pause and knowing when to stress certain words and sentences when you speak. Okay. So I remember I did a video, I think it was a few years ago. We've been doing My English Matters for a few years now. And one of the tips that I shared was to avoid talking too fast. And people said, but you talk fast yourself. Okay. And then sometimes we get comments from people saying, you talk too fast. And okay, then maybe that's true. Sometimes I tend to talk fast, especially when it is in a conversation with other people who are at the same level of fluency with me. And it's good for people to remind me if I speak too fast. However, you have to, so when that happens to you, you have to remember to pace yourself. So pace yourself is by slowing down and also to pause. So we teach this in Communicate with Confidence. We go into details in module 3. So if you're a student, it's in module 3. It's about sounding confident, right? Pause. You can pause at, so when you are speaking a sentence, you could keep your sentences shorter, right? And then stop after each sentence. Stop for 1 or 2 seconds, right? Don't be afraid of having a bit of a silent a break, right? Some people think that they have to fill every gap or every pause in their sentences because they don't like that awkward silence. It's okay to have a bit of a pause, right? You can, and also you could pause in between important words or important phrases within your sentences. And when you speak slowly, it also helps for you to focus and for your brain to come back to the point and not get carried away. Okay. And another one is to apply stress on important words and phrases. So stress is by saying certain words or phrases louder or having different pitches. So maybe you usually use a monotonous tone in your voice, but you want to stress on certain words, so you use a higher pitch for those certain phrases and words. Okay, now let's go to the last reason that you may be speaking too fast. Habitual. So basically, speaking too fast is just a habit for you. You speak fast, whether it's in your first language or whether it's in your second language. It's just a habit that you have. Maybe your parents speak too fast. Maybe you speak too fast. Maybe your siblings speak fast, and you kind of have made that habit of speaking fast because it's just the way you speak, right? So if that's you, you speak fast in your first language. For example, my first language is Malay. So for example, if I speak fast in Malay, then maybe I'll bring over those habits into English. So there are a few ways that you can slow down if speaking too fast is just a habit for you. In addition to the other tips that I've shared from reasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, these are tips that you can use. Number one is to record yourself. So not everybody will want to record themselves. This is an additional tip, but make it easy for you, right? If you're serious about wanting to slow down, record yourself. You could record yourself in your car as you're driving, right? Turn on your, what do you call it? That app where you can record your voice. Turn that on and then just talk. And then afterwards, listen to yourself. What I would suggest is listen to yourself after a few days, okay? Because sometimes when you listen to yourself immediately after you record, you can still remember the things that you have said in that recording. So if you record yourself 2 days later or 3 days later, maybe you've already forgotten the points that you shared in the video or in the recording. So when you watch it again or when you listen to yourself again, you can analyze how you speak. Do you speak too fast? Are there words that you just didn't catch yourself saying? So if that happens, it just means that you have to speak slowly and pronounce the words that you didn't hear yourself saying, and pronounce it in a way that is more clear and slower. Okay. Another thing is people who speak too fast tend to say a lot of words in one breath. Okay. And sometimes they just go out of breath. So what you could do is remember to breathe. Take a deep breath and let it out. Okay. And then continue what you are saying. Okay. So when you remember to breathe, you remember to keep your sentences shorter so that you're able to breathe in between sentences or in between different parts of your sentence, the clauses in your sentences. Another one is to use pauses. Like I said from the previous tip, use pauses, pause in between important phrases, in between important words or sentences. Another tip is read aloud, read out loud. Find your favorite book, or whether it's a fiction or it's not fiction, it's fact, a self-motivational book or something, self-help book, and read it out loud. You can even go a step further by recording yourself reading out loud. And then if you find yourself reading too fast, then you'll know that you need to slow down. And also reading out loud keeps you focused on the words that you need to be pronouncing rather than skipping through words, okay, so that you make sense. Another one is pronounce each word. That's important. I think that I already mentioned that about pronouncing each word when you record yourself. If you find yourself saying words too fast, make sure that you are pronouncing each word clearly so that people can hear what you are actually trying to say. And then another one is set reminders. So this may not be applicable for everyday conversation, but if you are presenting something, for example, you have to do a presentation where you are using slides and your computer, you could just post like a post-it note, like stick a post-it note on your screen telling yourself to slow down. Just the words slow down, right? If this is a problem for you that you speak too fast. So when you're presenting, say you're talking to someone, are you talking to your audience, and then you want to look at the slides and you see that yellow post-it note on your screen saying slow down, right? That will help you to stick to a slower pace. And then the last thing that I want to remind you, if speaking fast is a habit for you, is to just stay present and connect with your listener. So what that means is sometimes when we speak too fast, it's because we are sometimes in our head too much, that we forget to connect with our listener. So the reason that we speak is to connect with them, for people to understand what you're saying, to convey a message. And if you are always connecting with them, you can also ask them, like, am I speaking too fast? Or you could say, do you understand what I'm saying? And then if they say that you're speaking too fast, then you should slow down. So just remember, stay present, connect with your listener, and inshallah, it will help you to slow down and be more effective in speaking. So that's all from me for today. I hope that has been helpful. If you liked this video, make sure that you share it with your friends and your family. And I hope to see you in our next episode. Bye for now.